Joining us now, Senator Johnny Isakson, Republican senior senator from the Peach State. Johnny Isakson, oh man, we go back with him so many years, back when in his real estate days, and when he was a big fan of Jack Kemp when he first ran for Congress and took Newt Gingrich's seat in my 6th district at the time. Was a big fan of Newt Gingrich back then. And Johnny Isakson then getting elected senator, great friend of mine. He's an FOJ friend of John, been my friend a very long time, and he serves on many committees right now, the Senate Health, Education, Labor, Pensions Committee, the Senate Finance Committee, and chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and really can't get anything done in Washington without him. And his reputation of working across the aisle is the model for what we need to get things done in Washington. And I'm live from Atlanta. He's joining us now. Senator Isakson, back at work, working hard. Great to have you with us, sir.
John, it's great to be with you again.
I know it's been a long time. We got a couple of quick issues in the 10 minutes we have. Let's just start with the hysteria over revoking John Brennan's security clearance. People just going berserk over this, saying it's impeding the Russian I don't know what it has to do with that. And Brennan coming out with an op-ed yesterday. I mean, if he doesn't need the clearance to make money, and he says it has nothing to do with that, why does he even need it, and why are people so upset over it?
Well, I think it's probably a personal thing with Brennan and the president more than anything else. He doesn't need it anymore. He's not serving the country in a capacity that he would have to have it, and if the president wanted to use him in a secure fashion, he could maintain it. Otherwise, he can take it away. So it's the president's prerogative to do so.
Well, that's what I think. Let's talk about Judge Brett Kavanaugh. Chuck Grassley, your colleague from Iowa, saying that he's going to start the hearings in September. Sir, what do you think of this nominee and his chances of being confirmed?
John, let me tell you, I spoke yesterday on the floor of the Senate before we left and gave my endorsement to the confirmation of Judge Kavanaugh. I have thoroughly studied his record. I've had the chance to meet him casually once, unexpectedly once, and formally once. And in all three of those meetings, he's everything I would hope a Supreme Court justice would be. I personally think the biggest responsibility I have as a United States Senator is the confirmation of the judges who have lifetime appointments. It's the last time these judges, when they get this appointment, will face any type of a voter or accountability mechanism. So we've got to make the right choice. We can't make a mistake at any time, and I'm convinced Brett Kavanaugh is absolutely the right choice to make. He's solid. He's smart. He's probably the most often quoted of all the potential candidates for the United States Supreme Court that we've ever had before in the past.
Senator, are you confident of his securing enough votes in order to gain passage?
I'm cautiously optimistic and cautiously committed that we will. Let me tell you why. John Tester, my friend from Montana, Heidi Heitkamp from North Dakota, and Joe Manchin from West Virginia, all voted for Brett Grant from Georgia for the court in Washington last week. 3 Democrats who broke with Chuck Schumer to confirm a Georgia judge appointed by President Trump. So that proves that we can break their ability to stop us if we want to. We've just got to make sure we do the same thing with the vote politically on Judge Kavanaugh. And the advantage Judge Kavanaugh also has is he is a very known commodity in Washington. He has lived in Washington his entire life. He's a Washingtonian by practice. He's well known on the bench and served on the district court. So I think in the end it will be raucous. They will try everything they can to dismantle him, but there's nothing out there to hang their hat on. And when that fails, and it'll fail pretty fast after we start the September 4th debate, then I think you'll see a testimonial to the kind of man he is, and I think he'll be confirmed Supreme Court justice.
All right, Senator, you seem, I like that, cautiously optimistic, cautiously confident that's the way to be. Let's get foreign relations very fast. Iranian sanctions coming down. The Iranian economy right now tottering. Unemployment 12%, inflation 10%, and really the sanctions haven't even hit. The Trump administration are very unlikely to give waivers to any foreign countries still doing business with Tehran, which means they're cut off to the American consumer. Is this pressure, do you feel, in your position on Senate Foreign Relations, going to bring the Iranians to the negotiating table?
I personally think it will. I think we've got the foot on the boot right now. We need to keep the boot on their neck, and we need to keep the pressure on until they sit down and forthrightly negotiate. The JPOA, which we did last year or 2 years ago under Obama, was not a treaty. It was not an agreement. It was a handshake deal with the president and the Iranians and Senator Kerry, as Secretary of State. They didn't obey anything in spirit or in actual print of it. They've turned their back on everything they've said they would do. There's no reason to trust the Iranians for anything, any way, any purpose. And it's time now that we really have the sanctions working and they're beginning to bring the pressure they should, and the toughest ones are not yet really affecting them. It's time for us to keep our foot on their throat, make them come to the table and sit down and get rid of the nuclear weapons, and the potential for nuclear weapons that Iran has.
Let's get to the Georgia gubernatorial election. A lot of people looking at this, Senator, nationally. There's some people on the Democratic side saying that the red wall, the Georgia red wall, is going to crumble. Abrams is going to win. I know you know Brian Kemp for a very long time. What do you think of this race?
It's going to be a good race. Brian is a good man, and I have known Brian for a long time, and I've known the Democratic nominee for a long time, the Democratic leader of the Georgia House, Stacey Abrams. What's going to happen in the end? It's going to be a closer statewide race between Democrats and Republicans than we have had in a few years. It is. The votes are going to get closer, but there are not enough votes out there for the Democrat to win. And you've got the combination of the fact that Brian Kemp is an outstanding candidate. He's a well-known commodity in the state. He's got a broad base of support, not only just through the university system in Athens, where he's been from. His wife married Bob Argo, who did so much for the university. But there are a lot of things that are running in their favor. But this is going to be a close race. If the Republicans look over their shoulder, they're going to see somebody coming, and if they look too late, they could get caught. It's not something they could stand to lose. It's not something they stand to get run over, but it is something that they get for granted. They don't pay attention. The wrong things happen. Timing's bad. Something bad could happen in November. So I'm urging every Republican, be cautiously optimistic, but get out and vote and be counted.
Senator, I got only a couple more minutes. I know you got to get back to work here, the Senate back in session. You have been an absolute tireless machine in getting help for our veterans, not only in Georgia but across America. You've got 18 separate pieces of legislation that you've advanced. Can you just give me a summary on what you've done and where we stand here with our veterans and how they can finally get the help they need from the VA?
Well, we have tried to reform the Veterans Administration so the veteran is treated like a prime customer, not a prime problem, which was happening a lot of time in the past. What we've done, we put an accountability system where if you're a Veterans Administration employee and you fail on the job, you can be fired, and the unions cannot come in and get your job back for you. You're held accountable, and you can be fired, and you lose your job, and you lose it permanently if it's a violation that's egregious enough. We've told veterans who have been waiting for 18 to 28 to 30 months to get just a decision on their status in terms of an appeal to the board of the Veterans Administration. We're guaranteeing them now that we're going to speed up that process. We're now already cut it in half time-wise, and we'll get it even lower in the past. A veteran who's injured needs to determine their disability, needs an answer quickly, and needs it responsibly. We've told our vets that we're going to see to it that we give them the educational opportunities across the board. The GI Bill, which used to be just originated for World War II, then over the time took in various other conflicts, but didn't have all conflicts. Last month, at the end of the month, we brought in the Veterans Mission Bill. All our veterans now have this access to the same benefits, whether they're World War II, Vietnam, whatever it might be. Also, whether or not they're Guard, Reserve, or full-time military. And I could go on and on and on. I'm just saying we're doing what we ought to always have been doing, but we're doing a better job of it. We're holding ourselves accountable. And the Senate, excuse me, which has been very divided this year, has been very united on this fact. We passed almost every piece of legislation unanimously. We're moving forward for our vets. They move forward for us. We're going to move forward for them.
Can the Republicans hold the House in November?
I think they can. I'm not. I was served in the House for 6 years, and I enjoyed it very much. It's changed a lot, and it's really changing this year with 42 retirements, people leaving. But I believe it is. I believe that they've got a core of leadership in Scalise and the others. Pardon me. That can hold them together. Doug Collins from Georgia is rising quickly in that leadership, but it's going to be It's going to be close and it's going to be tough.
Well, I think it's going to be close also. Final question, you got to go in the Senate. Here's my prediction. Republicans gain 5 seats. Can I be right?
From your lips to God's ears, I hope so. I think you're right that we'll maintain the Senate. Whether we get 5 more or not, I don't know, but we will maintain the majority.
Senator, you're going to gain 5 seats, and then when
I'll put
you
in the
get up
bank for
that
John
day,
Frederick anytime for you.
You're going to remember this conversation, and then you're going to have to call back into my show and say, John, once again, you nailed it. Unbelievable. Thank you, Senator.
You call me, and I'll buy you a hamburger, and we'll go out and talk about it and celebrate, okay?
You got it, sir. Senator Johnny Isakson, senior senator from the great state of Georgia. I was there 30 years, and it's great to have you on, sir. Thank you so much.
God bless you, John. God bless America.